Hey everyone, welcome back to the Push Pace Podcast, a podcast where we talk about anything and everything related to what it takes to push ourselves towards a better and happier version of ourselves. And for this week's topic, I wanted to take some time to discuss a little bit more about my fitness background in group class instruction. I've recently gotten quite a few messages from people that are interested in potentially pursuing a career in fitness and in the group fitness space. And I thought it would be cool to talk about my 5 biggest takeaways that I've had from coaching over 2,000 group fitness classes over the last 3 years. I recently just passed my 3-year anniversary with Orange Theory as a company, which is super cool. And it's so funny because looking back, I still have the same level of excitement and just pure joy of doing what I do as far as coaching those classes go, the same level that I did back when I started, if not more, now that I've had the experience and things kind of flow a little bit better. But believe it or not, I still, before the first class of my evening classes, I'm always still a little nervous to get the ball rolling because it's showtime. And I've always been someone who kind of have really high nerves for doing anything. But anyway, I just wanted to have a little discussion today. And I think there's going to be some value in this for everyone, whether or not you're looking to pursue pursue something fitness related or not. Just to give a little insight into if you're someone who takes group fitness classes, a little insight into what coaches think about and sort of, how we orchestrate classes and things like that, and the things that we ourselves try to focus and improve on. So in no particular order, at least for these first 4, the first thing I would say is that you are really in charge of the energy of the class. When you're leading a group of individuals and, group training, I'm not just speaking specifically to Orange Theory, there's small group training that can range between, just a handful of people. But whether it's a handful of people or a couple dozen people or over 30 people, you are in charge of dictating the energy of that class. As a coach, you can't just expect everyone to be hyped and energetic and ready to bring it. In fact, a lot of people are looking at you for that source of hype and energy. And, so if you're having a bad day, if you just had a bad day in life, you got to coach classes that night, what are you going to do? You can't just be down in the dumps poopy and expect everyone else to be super upbeat and happy because you're in charge. You're the head honcho. And because of that, you almost have an obligation that even when tough things come up, adversity comes up in life, you got to bring that energy no matter what. It's just part of the responsibility that you take on. It's one of just the major responsibilities of being a group fitness coach is having the energy and being able to drive what energy you want to see from others, having that outwardly expressed through what you do, even when you don't feel like it. It's bummer. You don't feel like it? Bummer. You're still in charge to do it. And, even on the bad days, the days where you're real sad, you're feeling down, things have not been the best. Even on those days, if you try to put forth the good, the positive energy, the reason why you started doing this in the first place, a lot of the times it really turns around the bad days. So it's something to keep in mind. Number 2. This is a very interesting topic and I think a very controversial topic. And I've got my own very specific opinions on this. And this is basically just based off of how I've operated. And that coaching frequency, as far as how many classes per week you would coach, absolutely dictates the quality of your coaching. And I really do believe that as the more classes that you add on to your schedule, your weekly schedule, the less that you can bring to each of those classes. Ever since this last probably 6 to 8 months or so, I've dialed back the number of classes that I was teaching per week from around 20 classes a week down to about 16. And I've noticed just personally my ability to bring more quality to those classes that I do coach. Now, I think this does have to do with the style of what you do. For me, I really try to bring a lot of hype, a lot of charisma and enthusiasm to the classes. And I honestly don't know how some people can do 30, 40 classes a week. And I think, as those classes sort of add on back to back to back, or you're covering at other studios, or, if you've got too much on your plate, it's going to drain you. It's going to take the fun out of this absolutely fun experience. I think just in general, like, I'm so grateful to be in the fitness industry, to be able to be a part of so many people's like positive change in their life. Like, that is a sacred, precious, and just amazing experience. And so if you're loading on too much, you're just doing too much, you can't put forth the physical and mental power necessary to bring like high quality. So, I would highly encourage anyone who's really interested in doing the group fitness thing, to be very cautious about how much you take on, because it's not just physically draining, it's mentally draining as well. Draining might sound like a negative term, but I'm trying to spin it more of it's just, there's a lot to think about. Everyone's doing their thing. And if you want to give people the best experience possible, you've got to be on it. So something to keep in mind, and something that I've noticed that like less classes, the higher the class quality gets. And so you have to play with that balance, obviously taking into account your own financial situations and things like that. Once again, I am so grateful and thankful to be able to make, more than half my living from online sources, things like YouTube and my ebooks and things like that, and my upcoming app, my upcoming web platform, launching here in a couple weeks. I'm thankful to have those as additional income sources that allow me to not have a full-time schedule of just back-to-back coaching classes, which I think would just suck a lot of the fun out of what this is. And I think that's part of the reason why I've just been doing it for so long, and I'm not like tired of it. I'm not bored of it. I think it has to do with that balance of class frequency. All right, so number 3, and this is a bummer. This is a real bummer. You won't be everyone's favorite. You try though. You try. It's just funny how, you meet so many people in the group fitness space. Every single person is just so different, personality-wise, music taste-wise. We can talk about the music thing in a whole different segment. But, there's some people that just aren't going to that are going to gravitate towards other coaching personalities than others. And, for me, trying to be sort of, again, the charismatic, very high-energy person, while I do try to keep in mind, like, especially when I'm working with someone one-on-one for a moment, like keeping in mind their personality to, if there's someone who's a little bit more quieter, less like out there, I guess, like I will focus on trying to dial back like how I'm delivering like in the moment. But just in general, people gravitate towards certain personalities. And so you got to be the best you that you can, but you can't be upset if not everyone thinks you're the best or everyone loves you. It's just not how things work. That's just not how it works in anything. Everyone's got their preference. So I just know for me, it's like, at first it was something like, I just want everyone to like me. Everyone like me, please. But, just some people like the more chill, laid back personalities. And, if I'm just jumping around, not everyone's going to like that. So it's something to keep in mind that you're just not going to be able to please everyone with like your personality style and your delivering of whatever workout it might be in this group class setting. Same with like music choices and stuff. I definitely want to have an entire episode dedicated to this. But everyone's got different music tastes. Everyone gets hyped from different stuff. And some people, like, certain coaches might favor playing certain stuff than others because, and I'll touch this on another episode, but like music choice not only is for the members, but as the coach to be able to have the energy and passion to like deliver, things at certain moments. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, you can't please everyone. You won't be everyone's favorite, but that's okay. That's okay, because people will like you if you're authentic and genuine and you really do show that passion about what you're doing. Now, number 4. We're almost to the end of the list. Crazy. Number 4, take as much feedback as you can. Feedback in a group class setting is essential. And, if you're like, let's say a fitness member and you see, you go to a bunch of good different coaches classes and, you've taken a million classes of different styles and stuff. There's a lot going, even though a coach might look like they're chill and everything's flowing great, there's so much going on, like so much running through your brain at every moment, trying to keep time on intervals and trying to correct someone's form, trying to switch out someone's pair of dumbbells if they can go heavier, or helping someone manage their speed, and you're doing that for dozens upon dozens of people sometimes, depending, of course, the class setting. And there's so much going on that it's very easy to miss the little things, the very, very subtle things in what you're doing that like you just wouldn't pick up on unless someone told you about it. And, this could be something as in like, your music is just a little bit too loud, like can't quite hear you over the microphone. It's like, oh, really? Like I thought it sounded fine. I thought everyone could hear me just fine, but it's like, okay, that's good to know. Like maybe I can dial back the volume just a little bit or play around with that a little bit more. Or, hey, you don't quite check in on the ends of the weight room than you do on some of those that are in the middle. And it's like, I guess not, huh? Like I do spend a lot of my time in the middle of the class and not having as many personal like interactions with those that are on the ends of the station. It's like, I never thought about that. Feedback, I guess that can be applied to anything in life, right? Feedback is good. It's good to know because you will miss out on little things, especially when things get so crazy in some of these group classes. You'll miss out on little things. And so it's good to get that feedback and to just not have such a big freaking ego that you're willing to accept feedback and know that you're not perfect and that there's always things to improve on. No one's perfect. Always something to get better at. So be willing to take feedback. And, if someone is giving you feedback on something and you don't agree with it, there's nothing wrong, of course, with sort of having someone try to explain something a little bit deeper as far as like why you might not think that's right or their criticism of what they said is not right. Like you don't just have to accept things for how it is. Of course, it's important to really know the details of why something is the way it is. And that's the way you can get better and improve for the future. But what's interesting is that when it comes to feedback, sometimes feedback is given as like, you're not being passionate enough, or you sound a little monotone, or maybe like characteristic critiques. And this is what leads to point number 5, which I think is the most important thing, the biggest takeaway from all these fitness classes, and something that I think that can be applied to everyone doing anything. And that is, you have to be authentically you. You have to be 100% you, because as technology advances, as the years go on, everything eventually is going to be commoditized. Anyone can tell you what fitness exercises to do. Anyone can tell you what to do. But it's not about what it is. It's about how it's delivered. It's about the personality. It's about what you are bringing to the table. And so it's important to not try to be somebody that you're not. I'm not gonna stop jumping around because some people don't think that they don't like the jumping around. It's like, well, that's who I am. I like to do a 360 spin off of a rower and, play air guitar and air drums. Like you got to be you. And when you can commit yourself to 100% authentic you, things get really fun. Things get really passionate. And yeah, your passion and energy, it really shows when you're being who you are, sticking to, tripling down on the strengths that you have and not worrying about, your shortcomings. Instead of focusing on those, just keep doing the real good things that you're really, really good at. And I think if you focus on those and you really focus on being who you are in whatever you do, you could be in the corporate world, the business world, who knows what you're doing. But if you're you, people are going to like you for you. And the people that don't like you, forget them. How important are those people anyway? The people that don't like you, who cares? Who cares? They don't know you. They don't know the true you. Only you know the true you. So be the truest you that you can be. And those are my biggest takeaways from over 2,000 classes of group fitness classes and over 3 years with Orange Theory. Like it's just kind of crazy to think back how fast time flies and how all the experiences, like how it all leads to where you are now. It's pretty wild. So if group fitness is something that you're interested in, those are some things to really keep in mind. But I hope that whatever you're doing in life, occupation-wise or aspiration-wise, that maybe you can take away from some of these or get into the minds of a coach a little bit more. And I hope you could get just a little value out of the things that we talked about today. So as always, appreciate you guys tuning into the podcast. Sure hope you liked it. Please leave feedback, rate the podcast if you haven't already. As I say every time, I am just trying to do what I can to make this podcast as fun, awesome, and fulfilling as possible for all of us. So please give your harshest, most feedback possible so that way I can learn and we can learn and push ourselves towards better us's in the future. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys in the next podcast.